the Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport in the Irish Government, Mr. Shane Ross. He's a businessman of some note, and I did notice nothing gets forgotten in politics, but as a stockbroker, I think that's right, in the past, he strongly recommended nobody to buy Ryanair shares when they floated. So I thought I'd just remind him of that before we came on. But Minister, we're very pleased to welcome you, Mr. Shane Ross, join us on the stage. Thank you.
That was a very unusual introduction. I'm used to some slightly different types of introductions which are less true and certainly less flattering. But I come here as a great admirer of Ryanair. Now, having conceded the point that maybe anybody who had bought shares of flotation would have made a decision which was correct and profitable. And indeed, I'm a great supporter of what Ryanair has done for Ireland and for aviation throughout the world, and I think that should be noted on a serious point because Michael O'Leary and others, but particularly as with Ryanair, have carried the flag and done a great deal for our reputation globally. I'd also like to say it's really nice to be here today because to bring such a global conference to your own village is a very unusual experience, and it's a wonderful setting, and I do hope that you all enjoy a really good experience of Irish hospitality while you're here. I know that the fact that it's got one of Ireland's finest golf courses has nothing to do with the choice of the fact that you're here today, but I know there's a lot of work to be done, and I can feel the buzz here already. I'd like to thank CAPA for again hosting its Leaders Summit here in the beautiful Powerscourt venue. The county is, for good reason, known as the Garden of Ireland, and I, as Minister for Tourism, as well as Transport and Sport, am always delighted to welcome international conferences to Ireland. I understand that some of you will have the privilege of playing in the CAPA Cup on Friday at one of Ireland's premier parkland courses. Some of you may not be aware that the Powerscourt estate was home to the Slazenger family of sporting goods fame. My house is a little bit smaller than the one we're in today, but it's a wonderful place to visit, and indeed it's a great centre for sports, and it's one of Ireland's premier tourist centres. I was very glad to be invited to say a few words to you this morning. It's good to see so many of you key airline industry leaders coming together here in Ireland to discuss the many issues confronting the industry. Evolving airline business models and the impact of social media are at the core of the panel discussions at your conference. These are certainly topical issues, and I can see from the agenda that you have a very interesting mix of speakers here today and tomorrow. As you'll know, Ireland has a lot of experience of different airline business models. Whatever about the pros and cons of these different models, what I can tell you is that Ireland's experience of liberalisation of aviation markets and our policy of encouraging innovation in the industry has been of huge benefit to the sector and its customers. Obviously, like all international trade, there need to be some checks and balances in place to ensure business is conducted fairly. However, given the benefits that have ensued from liberalisation, it is difficult to see how any attempts to reverse such policies could be of benefit, given the competitive realities of today's international market. Speaking of innovations, big data certainly presents a whole range of new possibilities for aviation. I welcome new innovations that aid the travelling public to help navigate unfamiliar airports or accurately track baggage from the start to finish of a journey. Airports must also innovate to continue to provide services suitable for 21st century airlines. In Ireland, an ambitious airports investment programme has been included in our National Development Plan launched last month and will ensure that we can maintain and grow our aviation links with the rest of the world into the future. The investment envisaged, therefore, in the National Development Plan in transport generally and in the area of international connectivity is rooted in sustainability, balance, and seizing the opportunities for our economy to expand to better support our society. The National Development Plan in Ireland will prioritise infrastructural improvements at our airports, in particular, as Vincent has already mentioned, the second parallel runway and a new visual control tower for Dublin Airport. The possibility of a third terminal in Dublin, not necessarily state-owned, should not be ruled out. In addition, there will be continued targeted support for safety and security related projects at the smaller regional airports under the Regional Airports Programme. It is hard these days to find an aviation conference that does not address the thorny issue of Brexit in some way. The EU now has a row in every aspect of aviation, and thus Brexit impinges on every aspect. Scenarios are varied, and the picture that's being painted when Brexit comes can be gloomy and it can be optimistic, but I can tell you that my department and the government is ready for every eventuality. The current challenges faced by the aviation industry arising from the UK's decision to exit the EU are of course unprecedented. The impact of Brexit will be felt across all modes of transport, but like a lot of things, the challenges for aviation are unique. The EU single aviation market is the most successful international aviation liberalisation project on the planet. Its creation was possible due to the strength of the EU's institutions, the common application of the rule of law across the Union, ultimately through the European Court of Justice. The UK was always a strong supporter of the single aviation market. Likewise, the United Kingdom has contributed hugely to European aviation more generally in terms of aerospace manufacturing and airlines. Inevitably, the UK's future role post-Brexit outside the EU will be different to its current role. For Ireland, maintaining top connectivity, minimising disruption of airline operations, seeking regulatory alignment and ensuring the continued safe, efficient and effective aviation operations are key objectives in the Brexit negotiations. The coming months and days and weeks will be crucial. Finally, this annual event is recognised as being a very important contributor to the global debate on aviation. Unfortunately, my own schedule in Dublin City Centre this morning doesn't allow me to stay to hear your views for long in person, but I look forward to hearing and reading about the discourse that you've held over the coming days, and I wish you all a very successful and enjoyable conference. I trust you will have an opportunity to enjoy these beautiful surroundings, as I have no doubt the golfers among you will, and I hope you come back here next year. You'll be here even if I'm not, but thank you very much indeed for the welcome you've given me today.